In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to add signed numbers or positive and negative numbers. And one easy way to get acquainted with this idea is to think about a bank account, where positive numbers are what we put in or deposit, and negative numbers we'll treat like a withdrawal. And so let's start off with a balance of $100, and then let's add a negative 30, or let's add a $30 withdrawal. So we all know that if you start with $100 and you add a $30 withdrawal, you're going to end up with $70. And notice that because we started out with more than we took out, we still have a positive balance. So when the signs are different, we end up subtracting the two values and using the sign of the larger number. This was a positive, so the answer was positive. And let's take our $50 balance and our $70 balance, and let's add $50 to that. So 70 plus 50 is going to be 120. So if both numbers are positive, then we add them together and the answer is positive. Now let's take our $120 and let's add a $200 withdrawal. Now of course this means that we're withdrawing more than we started with, and that means that we're going to end up in the negative or in overdraft. So to find out how much overdraft we have, we're going to subtract 120 from 200, and that we found out the difference is $80, but it's $80 to the negative because the withdrawal is bigger than what we started with, bigger than the positive number. So it's 80, but it's negative 80. Alright, let's take our negative $80 balance and let's add $50 to that. So that doesn't quite get us back to a balance of 0, but what that does is it gets us closer than we are now. So the difference between 80 and 50 is 30, but we're still $30 overdrawn, so it's a negative 30. And let's take our $30 overdraft and let's add another $20 withdrawal. So if you're negative 30 and you add a negative 20, you are now $50 overdrawn. So that's going to be negative 50. And let's take our negative $50 and let's add 90 to that. And so the 90 covers the 50 that we were overdrawn, and now we're to the good $40. So positive 40. And so we better stop while we're ahead. But let's take a look and see if we can pick out any patterns here. In this problem, the signs were different, so we had to subtract the two numbers, and the answer kept the same sign as the biggest number. Same thing happened here. Because the signs are different, we didn't actually add the two numbers together. We subtracted them and used the sign of the larger number. Yes, it's an addition problem, but to work it, we had to subtract the two absolute values. Alright, on this one, the signs are different. We found the difference between 80 and 30, and we used the sign of the larger negative number. And on this one, the signs are different, so we had to find the difference between 90 and 50, and the answer has the same sign as the larger number. So it looks like every time the signs are different, we actually subtract the two numbers. Now let's look at the problems we have where the signs are the same. With positive 70 and positive 50, we added the two numbers and the answer was positive. With negative 30 and negative 20, we added the two numbers and the answer was negative. So it looks like if the signs are the same, you add and the answer will have the same sign as the two numbers in the problem. If the signs are the same, you add and the answer will have the same sign as the numbers in the problem. Okay, so let's write those two rules down concretely here. If two numbers have the same sign, we add and keep their sign. If two numbers have different signs, we subtract and use the sign of the larger number. So here are a few examples. Negative 11 plus negative 15. you can still go back to the bank account analogy if you want to, but you can just use these two rules. Negative 11 and negative 15, they both have negative signs, so we add the two numbers. That gives us 26, and we keep the sign, which is negative, so the answer is negative 26. Okay? 17 plus negative 4. These are a positive and a negative, so we're going to find the difference between 17 and 4, which is 13, and the answer will be, the sign will be the same as the sign of the larger number, so it's going to be positive 13. Negative 7 plus 6. These are different signs, so we will find the difference between 7 and 6, which is 1, and 7 is larger, so the answer will have a negative sign, so negative 1. Negative 10 plus 13, we will look at the signs are different, so we subtract the two numbers and use the sign of the larger number. So 13 minus 10 is 3, and the larger number is 13, so we use a positive on the answer. 16 plus 8, both positive, so simply add the two numbers. That'll give us 24, and the answer is the same sign as the numbers in the problem. Negative 3 plus negative 19, these are both negative numbers, so we add them together. That'll give us a 22, and we use the same sign as the problem, so it's negative 22. 27 plus negative 15, the signs are different, so we subtract 27 and 15. That'll give us 12, and we use the sign of the larger number, so it'll be a positive 12. Now we can use these rules not only on whole numbers, but also on fractions and decimals as well. Let's try out negative 2/3 plus 1/6. So remember, when we add fractions, we need the denominators to be the same. So since 3 goes into 6, we can use 6 as our common denominator. If I change thirds into 6, I can multiply by 2 over 2, and that'll give us negative 4/6 plus 1/6. Now when you add the tops, negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So negative 3/6, and then 3 over 6 will simplify to 1 over 2. So it's a negative 1 over 2. So it's the same rules that we've always had, but we just have to deal with the fraction rules and the sign number rules at the same time. But there's nothing different or unusual about what we're doing. Alright, negative 7/10 plus negative 3/10. Okay, since these have common denominators, all we have to do is add the tops. Negative 7 plus negative 3. Both numbers have the same sign, so we'll add them and get negative 10. The denominator's 10. Of course, this simplifies to negative 1. Let's try out negative 3/8 plus 2/3. Again, it's an addition problem, so I'll need common denominators. Let's use 24. So to change 8 into 24, I have to multiply by 3. So I multiply the top by 3. That's going to become negative 9. Whatever sign your fraction has, let it keep that sign. And then to change this one, I'll multiply 3 times 8 to get 24. That means the top number is 2 times 8. So that will be 16. Negative 9 plus 16 is going to be 7. Positive 7, because the 16 is the larger number. So this becomes 7 over 24. Now to add more than two numbers at a time, what we'll do is we'll work with 2 at a time, and we'll go from left to right. So let's take a look. Here is 85 plus negative 15 plus negative 20 plus 12. So if I just start going from left to right and only work with 2 at a time, I've got 85 plus negative 15. Now ignore the rest of the problem. These two numbers have different signs from each other, so I need to subtract them. So the difference between 85 and 15 is 70. and 85 is the larger number, so it's going to be positive 70. And then we just keep the rest of the problem. Now work with this number plus the next one. So 70 plus negative 20, those two numbers have different signs, so we need to subtract them. The difference between 70 and 20 is 50. And since the 70 is positive, and that's the larger number, then the 50 will be positive. So we end up with 50 plus 12, and 50 plus 12, of course, is 62. Let's try a different one. 60 plus negative 50 plus negative 30 plus 25. So here I've got, just going left to right, positive 60 plus negative 50. They're different signs, so I'm going to get the difference between them, which is 10, and the positive number is the larger one, so it'll be a positive 10. Keep the rest of the problem the same. Now look at 10 plus negative 30. Those are different signs, so we'll find the difference between 10 and 30 is 20. The larger number is 30 and it's negative, so our answer will be negative. Negative 20. And then we still have this plus 25. The difference between 20 and 25 is 5, and since this is the larger number, the answer will be positive. So positive 5. And I also wanted to show you that anytime you have a series of additions, remember that we have the commutative property. So if it's convenient for you, if you would prefer, you can rearrange the terms in any order you like. So I'm going to take this problem that we were just looking at, and I'm going to rearrange the terms a little bit. I have decided to put both positive terms first and both negative terms last. And now I can add them in any order I like. So I'm going to add the two positive numbers, 60 plus 25, and that gives me 85. And then I'm going to add the two negative numbers. Negative 30 plus negative 50 makes negative 80. That gives me 85 plus negative 80. Those two signs are different, so the difference between 85 and 80 is positive 5. And this is the same answer we got on the previous slide. It's just a different way to work it. And I just wanted to show you that anytime it's convenient and you prefer to do it, you may rearrange the terms, but it's never required. It just sometimes makes the numbers easier to combine, and it's totally up to you.